There's every couple of years there's this thing that takes place at E3, and it doesn't happen often, but every couple of years there's this thing that happens where you have like this console update, and so you sort of have to make like the community has to make some sort of like awkward transitions. Like the community has to like make an awkward transition from like one console to the other console, and I'm just like some awkward transitions are so awkward, and you don't know how the community is going to make such an awkward transition from one console to the other, but then they do it. Wow, that was a lot of work for that. Oh my God. It's Gordon Van Dyke from our friend at Raw Fury.
Yes.
And you have a game,
man?
GoNNer.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I feel kind of like dwarfed after following up on Destiny.
Not at all.
But no, I mean, it's the spirit of gaming, right? And it's
Yeah.
just sort of like, that's what we like. We like different types of games. Some like you spend your whole life your life in, but sometimes you want a game where you can just sit down and play it, right?
And get it seems like your game is very challenging.
It is. So there might be some controllers broken.
One takeaway I got from that.
Yeah, it has that roguelike element where it's like, you have some chances. So when you're playing as your character, Ick, you have equipment that you pick up. You have different heads that you can pick that give different kind of like elements, give you different like superpowers, for lack of better words.
You said different heads?
Different weapons. Yeah. So you have different styles of heads. Like there's a ghost head, kind of like, I call it the Ghost Rider head. And then, right now they're showing some different weapons. So you can pick those different weapons, and they function differently. They give you different pros and cons, like in most scenarios. So you have right there the electric gun, the zapper. It'll chain, but when it chains, you can't shoot another one.
Right.
You have a lot of enemies attacking you at the same time. So that delay could really be, if you time it incorrectly, it could really mess you up.
Right.
And so you'll get knocked into little pieces, and then you got to pick yourself up. So he already died.
You get the feeling you're going to get some good, like, mad YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the character Ick, his motivation is he met a whale named Sally. Is that correct?
That's his best friend. His
best
only friend.
Okay.
Oh my God, this answers so many questions for me.
and his friend is a land-bound whale, and he collects trinkets for her through the world, and is going to give them to her as gifts to make her happy.
I really love the whole premise of this.
Oh my
that you're
God.
just trying to make another animal happy. It makes me happy. It's awesome.
It's funny. The main developer, Ditto, he's this awesome dude. He basically, when you see him and meet him, like the whole art style makes complete sense.
Right.
He kind of embodies that. So it's like a reflection of his own personal style when he makes his games.
I kind of like how sort of some of the animations sort of almost seem like it's affecting the map in a way, which is kind of fun.
Yeah. So they basically kind of show the world. It's kind of like a lighting effect, but it's more to kind of like reveal the areas. It kind of creates also some obscurity, so you kind of like you don't know what's exactly around the corner in a way. So it's kind of giving that kind of vibe, but using it in a stylistic way at the same time.
I can definitely see myself like thinking there was a platform at a certain place, and then jumping there and there not being one, and getting very mad at that.
So there's a lot of cool things. Like we're still experimenting. In July, we're going to kind of do this closed alpha and kind of bring some people in through Steam and the itch.io community. And we're going to see what's going on and kind of get some feedback from them to kind of help fine-tune some of the elements of that as well.
Cool. So I was looking, and this is these levels are all procedurally generated, or some of them procedurally generated?
Everything, yeah. So every time you're going to go in, it's going to be different. There's going to be 4 primary worlds, and they're all different, and the kind of enemies that are in there and the way it's done. So there's one where you kind of traverse down through chambers instead of going from left to right. Then there's going to be one where you're going to kind of traverse up through ones. And I'm trying to convince him that the other world should be right to left. So it's a whole different. So we
that's an interesting thing that games don't do a whole lot. Is that really throws people off. People are so used to, like, since Mario, just going left to right.
Right, but so a lot of inspiration comes from when the first time that I played it, and I worked, my role at Raw Fury is I work directly with the developers, and I just give them feedback and experience. My history is as a developer myself.
Right.
So I worked on Battlefield series in the golden age of the Battlefield series, as I like to call it, and so a lot of experience. So we're going to show you the little secret here. So this is a secret, and hopefully there's it's people don't feel it's too inappropriate. So you can climb up on top of Sally.
Oh no!
And ascend her and your friend, and you can climb into one of her tails, and you can enter her anus.
So Sally isn't a normal whale.
Now I'm not super familiar on the anatomy of whales.
This is fairly accurate.
I guess we're learning.
We did some research.
We're learning.
We looked at some research on some whales, and this is pretty close to what it looks like. And so you can get a poop hat.
Oh, God.
So you can get a poop head.
Is that going to give you a special ability or anything like that?
It makes everything worse. So
great.
It's very difficult. So anybody who enters here and can beat the game with this is going to be like, we're going to try to find some kind of reward.
It's like extra hard mode.
Yeah, maybe simply just an achievement.
Sure. Just like the hey, I did it achievement.
Exactly.
I read that there will be boss battles in the game. Is that the case?
Yes. So I wasn't looking, but David, did you beat the first? Yeah. So he beat the first boss.
I wasn't looking.
Yeah. So yeah, me neither. So each level will have its own unique boss, and then the plan is that once you beat it, we'll have several different endings. So I'm a huge fan of Symphony of the Night. So I was like, come on, we have to have multiple.
We're on the same page.
Like, yeah. Endings, not necessarily the glasses that are going to take you to the flip world, right?
Right.
But in that same vein, where it's like you have to achieve certain things to kind of progress to the proper ending, so to speak.
That's really interesting. I saw that it would have multiple endings. I just didn't realize that there would be so much story and ways to end this game.
Yeah, we kind of I don't know if I want to call it a story. Maybe that's going a little too far.
It's more of a parable.
We just riffed, and
sure.
we were just like, okay, he has a whale in here, and you know, Ditto is so creative. So he just comes up with these adorable things. You fall in love with him instantly just by looking at him. And then we're like, well, let's try and create some kind of cohesive, like, story or some element to it, and really play into that. And so I asked him to make a little like talk bubbles with a heart in it. And for the trailer, so that then we added those, and it just kind of like organically happens. And that's the thing in this kind of in these small games. It's like it's all about kind of organic iteration and trying things, throwing them away really rapidly. I mean, the pace that these guys work is just it's insane. And coming from a traditional AAA background, it's so refreshing because I started in the mod community where we kind of did that as well.
Right.
It's like iteration, very focused.
Quick turnaround times.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like now it's back to those elements that really like they're so inspirational. You just get excited every day because, you know, and you forget about the stuff that you were excited about yesterday.
Right.
Maybe it didn't work. Maybe it was a totally horrible idea. But that's the beauty of it.
So could you expand a little bit on, it says, you mentioned it has roguelike elements in the game.
Yeah.
So I assume this means you're dying and you're restarting the whole level?
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can make it all the way to the end, the proper end, and lose to that boss and start all the way from the beginning. It's going to be, people are going to rage on us. We're probably going to get some hate mail.
So how long are each level?
It's hard to say, but we're playing around with that, so we haven't defined that exact moment. I think it could be a little bit longer, but it's also, you know, you can increase difficulty, and it kind of changes the perception of the length of the level, right? So,
totally.
Yeah, and making things that you have to find things. Maybe you have to clear out every enemy, right? You can skip through and just bypass the enemies, but there should be some kind of punishment for that if you're just kind of like using the sneaky way to make your way through without actually, you know, taking on your opponent.
Gotcha.
Gordon, that game looks like a ton of fun.
Extremely frustrating and fun.
I don't think I'm
That's a perfect way to phrase it.
Look at like tapeworms the same way again.
The world snakes. They're your gentle friend.
When can we expect to get our hands on this?
It's going to come out late summer.
Late summer.
All
right.
And then next month we'll have some kind of alpha. So if people check out and look out for that, they can follow us at Raw Fury Games on Twitter and just kind of pay attention, and we'll start announcing more formal information about that later.
Is it going to be multiple platforms or just
yes,
PC?
So initially we're looking at PC, but Mac and Linux as well in that format. So.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Cool.
I really appreciate you coming out.